regard to cybersecurity, some of the doomsday scenarios have foreign powers shutting down our power grid, et cetera. But some of the critique of that is that countries like China that depend upon us so heavily for their own economy, and even countries like Iran that would be under threat of attack from us if they were to do something so bold, that they won't actually do such a thing, that this cybersecurity talk is overdone. What do you say to critics who would make that point?
Yeah, well, first of all, I would say that attribution is a very difficult problem. Someone could launch a major cyber attack, and you may not know where it comes from. It may look like it's coming from China, but it could also look like it's coming from Idaho, and you just don't know.
Would you support an attack on Idaho if it appeared?
We need to do a better job, obviously, on protecting our country's critical infrastructure, hardening our cyber assets, making sure that we're as secure as we possibly can be. We're vulnerable right now, and it's not just it's from individuals, potentially from criminals that's happening right now, criminal activity, terrorists, or even nation states. And you have things like that could happen: cyber intrusions, cyber penetrations or disruptions, or cyber attack. There's multiple ways you have to look at this. The word cyber attack sometimes is overly used. That's for the worst case scenario where the electric grid, for example, could be attacked and shut down, and you could see potentially a whole section of the United States that have the electric grid shut down and be without power for potentially months. So those are the nightmare scenarios that keep me up.
Do you fear we're in sort of a pre-9/11 scenario where there were congressmen who warned about Al-Qaeda in '99, in 2000, in 2001, and it wasn't on the radar screen. And then, of course, by the time something like 9/11 happens, it's all well and good to say it's too late then. I mean, I'm not trying to be dramatic, but...
Right. I am concerned that we're in a pre-9/11 moment right now, and I've been trying to raise the alarm bell that we need to do more in the area of cybersecurity. There are some things, good things that are happening. We're hopefully moving in the right direction, but not nearly fast enough. And I've introduced legislation to try to make us more secure in cyberspace. I've been working in a bipartisan way with my colleague, Congressman Mike McCall, Republican from Texas, Congressman Matt Thornberry, and many others, to try to make sure that we are as prepared as possible. But we've got a lot of work to do. Everybody understands that this is an issue. I don't think as a country we're taking it seriously enough. We've heard of people, and maybe we've all experienced it, that our emails have been penetrated, and people get spammed all the time. We've had people had their bank accounts have money stolen from the bank accounts, or the intellectual property theft. All these things are real challenges and problems that I've been trying to address in the Congress, but we have to get more serious and more focused on getting it right, and we're not there yet.
Congressman, Congress just considered a pair of SOPA and PIPA that aimed to crack down on internet piracy, theft of American movies and music, even sales of counterfeit pharmaceuticals, et cetera. Opponents said that this amounted to censorship, that it would break the internet, among other things. You had some strong words for it in opposition yourself. But those who supported the bill said, look, these were gross distortions of what the bill actually did. It was pretty narrowly tailored, and this was a big problem we were trying to address. Was there some substance to the critique of these bills, or was it a bunch of overheated rhetoric in your view?
Well, I strongly oppose both SOPA and PIPA. I think that the legislation to try to prevent intellectual property theft was overly broad, heavy-handed, and it would have fundamentally changed the character of the internet from being open, and we're trying to, of course, make it more secure. SOPA and PIPA basically would have allowed companies to request that sites be blocked, or if people were trying to get to them, or that the people trying to get to those sites be redirected to another site that said, you're trying to go to a site that was hosting.
But wasn't that provision taken out of the bill in recent weeks?
The blocking provision was taken out, but not the redirect.
Right.
And the problem is that we're trying to make the internet more open and more secure at the same time, and even that redirect would have prevented that from happening. Not to get too technical, but we're trying to make sure that end-to-end use is encrypted, and it's called DNSSEC, is the method of securing point-to-point usage and direct addresses that you go into. If SOPA PIPA had been in effect, it would have really prevented DNSSEC from being brought to the internet in a robust way. So there are other ways. I'm very concerned about the theft of intellectual property. There's no doubt it's a problem, both whether it's the theft of the latest Hollywood blockbuster at the movie theaters, or it's the latest fighter jet design. This intellectual property theft is a real problem, but I think there are better ways to deal with it without fundamentally over-regulating and changing the character of the Internet.
You've talked about perhaps a market-based solution. We've seen companies like Apple with its iTunes and Netflix prove that people are willing to pay for access. But nonetheless, those two companies are up and running. They're doing very well, and we still see significant intellectual property theft. I mean, is there really a market answer to free? I mean, if someone can download the stuff for free, won't that always be tempting?
Sure. So there are market solutions to this problem. You outlined one of them, the solution that Apple created in creating iTunes. But there are also the Open Act is another example where we can use existing institutions like the International Trade Commission and law enforcement to go after and take down these sites when they're identified. But you need to have proper due process, and one of the bills would have allowed, for example, for no law enforcement really to be involved at all. SOPA would have allowed a company to go to an ISP and say, hey, that company over there is stealing our intellectual property, block people from going down, shut them down. And in theory, that could have been done. And again, no checks or balances from law enforcement. At least the PIPA legislation would have had a company had to go to the Attorney General to petition. But again, it's overly broad. I oppose SOPA and PIPA. Thankfully, those bills have been pulled back, and hopefully we can come up with something that is far more reasonable.
We're going to have to go to a break pretty soon here, but there's some controversy in your district, and it's getting national attention. The New York Times this morning, we tape on a Friday, is ran a piece on Jessica Alquist and the prayer banner. Do you agree with the federal judge's decision that the banner's presence in the school is unconstitutional?
Well, I believe in the separation of church and state. I believe in the concept of not recognizing or establishing any one religion. But I personally didn't have any problem with the banner being in schools. I also am fine with the "In God We Trust" on our coins and dollar bills, or saying in the Pledge of Allegiance, "One nation under God." And so, as I understand it, the banner didn't recognize any one particular religion. But it did have a reference to God, and it was a prayer.
Should the school appeal? Should they spend the money to appeal this?
I'm going to leave that to the school department to decide. I'm not going to interfere with a local issue or decision, but I personally didn't have any problem with the prayer being in the school.
All right, we're going to take a break here on the program. Our conversation with Congressman Jim Langevin will continue. Stay with us. You're watching Newsmakers.